My sister-in-law accused me of harassing her. Now my own brother wants me in prison. I'm a 34-year-old man, and until 2 months ago, I thought my relationship with my younger brother Daniel was unshakable. We'd been through everything together, childhood fights, moving out of our parents' house, even starting a small business side by side. Then he met Chloe. At first, I didn't mind her. She was pretty, charming in that "I know everyone in the room is looking at me" kind of way. But she also had a sharp edge. Little comments about my clothes, my car, how lonely I must be without a girlfriend. It was passive-aggressive enough that I brushed it off until it wasn't. One night, after a family dinner at my place, Daniel left early to catch a late shift. Chloe stayed behind, saying she'd help me clean up. We were alone in the kitchen when she leaned against the counter, smiled, and asked, "Have you ever wondered what it would be like if you and I were together instead?" I froze. I thought she was joking, so I laughed it off and told her to knock it off. It wasn't funny. Her smile vanished instantly. She grabbed her purse, muttered something about me being rude, and stormed out. The next day, Daniel called me, furious. Chloe had told him I cornered her in the kitchen, touched her arm, and made sexual advances. My own brother was spitting venom into the phone, calling me disgusting, telling me to stay away from them. I thought I could reason with him. I told him exactly what happened, but Chloe had tears, trembling hands, and a story that painted me as a predator. And in Daniel's eyes, she was the victim. 2 weeks later, a police officer knocked on my door with a summons. Chloe had filed a formal complaint. I was being investigated for harassment. The worst part, the hearing is next month, and if she convinces them, I could lose everything, my business, my reputation, even my freedom. And I think I just figured out why she's doing this. And it's not about me at all. The day after the police summons, I didn't sleep. I sat in my living room with a cup of coffee that went cold in my hands, replaying that night over and over, trying to find the exact moment things went from awkward to life-destroying. I knew Chloe was manipulative. She had that air of someone who always needed to be the center of attention, but I didn't think she was capable of something this calculated. Then I remembered something my cousin Emily said at the last barbecue. She'd whispered to me, "Be careful with Chloe. She plays games." At the time, I thought she was talking about drama in the family group chat. Now I wondered if she meant something far darker. I decided to do some digging. The first thing I did was check my security cameras. I have a small camera in my hallway pointing toward the kitchen, mostly for peace of mind. When I'm not home, it doesn't record sound, but it caught video. And that night, it showed Chloe stepping way closer to me than she claimed, her leaning against the counter, her laughing at something I said, then storming out after I put my hands up in a "whoa" gesture. It wasn't proof of innocence, but it was something. Then, a week before my first meeting with my lawyer, I got a text from an unknown number. "You don't know me, but I think I can help you. It's about Chloe." It turned out to be from a guy named Matt. He said he'd gone on a few dates with Chloe while she was already with Daniel. They met through Instagram. She told him she was stuck in a dead relationship, and they hooked up twice. According to him, she ghosted him when she realized Daniel's business, our business, was doing well. Matt sent me screenshots, messages from Chloe complaining about Daniel, calling him boring and predictable, and, most importantly, saying she needed a way out that makes me look good. One line stopped me cold: "If I say his brother crossed a line, I'll have an excuse to cut ties without looking bad. Everyone would believe me." It wasn't dated, but Matt swore it was from just a few months ago. I sent it to my lawyer immediately. She told me not to confront Chloe or Daniel yet. If we played this right, we could dismantle her entire story in front of everyone. But while I was gathering evidence, Chloe was doing her own smear campaign. Friends started pulling away from me. Mutual business contacts were suddenly busy. And then, Daniel himself walked into our office one morning and handed me a paper. It was a notice of dissolution of partnership. He was cutting me out of the business. "You made your bed," he said, his voice shaking with rage. "Now you can lie in it. And when the court's done with you, I hope you rot." I wanted to tell him everything. I wanted to shove those screenshots in his face. But I knew if I played my hand too soon, Chloe would find a way to twist it. So I just nodded, took the paper, and told him, "I'll see you in court." That's when I made a decision. If Chloe wanted to ruin me, I was going to burn her lies to the ground, publicly. And I already knew the first person I was going to call. The first person I called was Emily, my cousin. She'd been the one to warn me about Chloe in the first place, and I had a feeling she knew more than she'd let on. When she picked up, I didn't even bother with small talk. "Emily, I need the truth. What did you mean when you told me to be careful with Chloe?" There was a long pause on the other end before she sighed. "I didn't want to get involved, but I've heard stories from her old friends. Before she met Daniel, she had a habit of using guys until she got bored, then leaving them with some kind of drama that made them look bad. She's dangerous? That was an understatement. Emily then told me about a man named Victor, Chloe's ex from 3 years ago, who had lost his job after she told his boss he'd been inappropriate with her. According to Emily, Victor swore nothing happened, but he couldn't prove it. His reputation never recovered. It hit me like a punch to the gut. This wasn't random. Chloe had a pattern. She thrived on being the victim because it gave her control, sympathy, and a clean exit from relationships. I asked Emily if she could put me in touch with Victor. She hesitated, then agreed. When I finally spoke to him, his voice was full of bitterness. If she's got her sights on you, man, you'd better be ready. She knows how to cry on cue. She knows what to say to get people on her side. And if you humiliate her publicly, she'll come for blood. Victor also confirmed something chilling. She doesn't just want to ruin you. She wants to replace you. In my case, she got close to my business partner. In yours, well, you are partners with your brother, right? Suddenly, Matt's messages made even more sense. This wasn't just about ending things with Daniel. It was about breaking our bond so she could slide into the space I left behind. While I was piecing all of this together, Chloe wasn't slowing down. She posted a cryptic story on Instagram. Some people think they can get away with anything. Not on my watch. Friends of mine who didn't even know her started messaging me asking what I'd done. My phone felt like a grenade every time it buzzed. Then Emily dropped the real bomb. Daniel called me last night, she said. He told me Chloe might be pregnant. That sent my stomach into a free fall. If Chloe was pregnant, and if Daniel believed her completely, that would lock her into our family, no matter what happened in court. But something in Emily's voice made me pause. What do you mean might be? Emily explained that Chloe wasn't showing any proof, just telling Daniel she'd missed her period, and had a feeling. Emily didn't believe it for a second. That night, I sat in my apartment with the security footage on one screen, Matt's screenshots on another, and a list of people Chloe had burned in the past written out in front of me. I had the pieces. I just needed to arrange them in a way that would make her lies collapse under their own weight. The hearing was in 10 days. If I could get the judge to see her pattern of false accusations, this nightmare could end. But I also knew one thing. Chloe wouldn't go down quietly. If I exposed her, she'd fight like hell to drag me down with her. And judging by what happened next, that was exactly her plan. The next morning, I woke up to the kind of gut punch that makes your hands go cold. A friend from high school sent me a screenshot of a Facebook post from Chloe's account. It was a long paragraph, written in that fox heartbroken tone that people use when they're trying to sound noble while destroying someone's life. She never used my name directly, but she didn't have to. Anyone who knew her family could put it together. It's hard to speak about this, but silence protects predators. When someone you trust crosses a line and refuses to admit it, the only choice you have is to stand up for yourself. I've lost friends over this, but at least I can sleep at night knowing I did the right thing. The comments section was full of, "You're so brave," and, "We believe you." There were even people asking if she wanted them to handle me. One guy straight up said I should be locked up. By 10 a.m., my business Google reviews were being flooded with 1-star ratings from accounts I didn't recognize. "Owner is a creep," one said. "Avoid at all costs." It was a coordinated smear campaign. And the worst part, Daniel was nowhere to be found. He wasn't answering my calls or texts. The only time he responded was when I sent him a message saying, "We need to talk before this gets out of hand." His reply was 6 words, "It's already out of hand. Stay away." That was when I realized she'd completely isolated me from him. Whatever was left of our brotherhood was hanging by a thread, and she was holding the scissors. I spent the next 2 days digging deeper into her past. Victor, her ex, came through with more than I could have hoped for. Old text messages between him and Chloe, where she admitted she'd lied about him, making advances to get sympathy from her parents. He even had an email she sent a mutual friend bragging about how easy it was to make people believe her. I printed everything, organized it into a binder, and started building a timeline of her accusations, each one ending with her either gaining something, money, housing, a relationship advantage, or destroying the other person's credibility. But Chloe wasn't done playing. 3 days before the hearing, I was having coffee with Emily when my phone rang. It was my lawyer, and his voice was tense. "We've got a problem. Chloe's filed an emergency motion to include a new witness in the hearing. Your neighbor." My heart dropped. My neighbor, Carla, had never been more than a casual, "Hello" type. I couldn't imagine why she'd be involved, until my lawyer explained that Chloe was claiming Carla had seen me act inappropriately toward her. That was a complete fabrication. but it was brilliant in its own twisted way. If Carla backed her up, even vaguely, it would become my word against two women's. And in a case like this, that could tip the scale. I called Carla immediately. She sounded confused and defensive. Look, I don't know what's going on between you and your family, but she came over here crying, saying you were dangerous. I didn't see anything, but she's really convincing. I felt the walls closing in. Chloe was planting seeds of doubt in every corner of my life. That night, as I was reviewing my evidence for the 100th time, I got a text from an unknown number. It was a picture of me and Daniel at a bar 2 years ago, both drunk and laughing. Underneath, the message read, "Would be a shame if your brother knew the full story of that night." I knew exactly what it was, blackmail. Chloe must be found out about something stupid we did back then, something she could twist into more ammunition. I didn't even respond. Instead, I called Victor again. "You said she doesn't go down without a fight. What did you mean?" He hesitated. "I mean she'll burn the whole house down if it means you're in the ashes with her." That's when I knew. The hearing wouldn't just be about proving my innocence. It was going to be a war. And if I didn't win, I'd lose more than my freedom. I'd lose my name, my business, my brother, and any chance of ever feeling safe again. The courthouse smelled like old wood and anxiety. I arrived an hour early, binder clutched so tightly my fingers were white. My lawyer, Mark, was already there, flipping through his notes like he was trying to memorize a magic trick. "Remember," he said, "this isn't about emotions, it's about credibility. We destroy hers, we save yours." I nodded, but my stomach was in knots. Across the hallway, I spotted Chloe standing with Daniel. She was in a beige dress, minimal makeup, looking like the picture of innocence. She smiled sweetly at people she recognized, as if she wasn't actively trying to end my life. Daniel stood next to her, arms crossed, glaring at me like I was already guilty. When we were called into the hearing room, Chloe's lawyer went first. They painted me as an obsessive brother-in-law, who couldn't respect boundaries, who had made repeated, unwanted advances, despite her polite refusals. They even mentioned the coffee shop incident, but twisted it, according to her. She ran into me, and I followed her outside to pressure her. Then came their surprise witness, Carla, my neighbor. She admitted under oath that she had never seen anything physical, but claimed Chloe seemed genuinely afraid when she came to her. That was enough for the lawyer to imply that fear must have been based on something real. It felt like watching someone pour gasoline on my life, and then light a match. When it was our turn, Mark didn't waste time. He started by showing the judge Chloe's pattern, accusations against her ex, her old roommate, even a former boss. Then, piece by piece, we dismantled her narrative. We brought in security camera footage from the coffee shop, showing she was the one who approached me, not the other way around. We had timestamps proving her chance encounters were anything but. She'd been showing up where I was after checking my Instagram stories. And then, the killing blow, Victor took the stand. Calm, collected. He testified about their relationship, and how she'd admitted to making false accusations for personal gain. He produced the emails and texts where she bragged about it. Chloe's lawyer tried to object, claiming it was irrelevant to this case, but the judge allowed it, saying it went directly to her credibility. By this point, Chloe's composure was cracking. She started fidgeting, glancing at Daniel, who looked less certain than before. When Mark asked her directly why she had texted me, "You'll regret this," the day before filing the police report, she stammered something about feeling unsafe, but the judge's eyebrow went up. Then I took the stand. I told everything, calm, steady, no theatrics. I admitted that Chloe and I had had disagreements, but never once had I crossed a line. I talked about how much my relationship with Daniel meant to me, and how devastating it was to see it poisoned like this. When cross-examined, Chloe's lawyer tried to bait me into anger, but I didn't give them the satisfaction. I just kept repeating, "That's not true," and "That didn't happen." By the end, the room felt different. The smugness was gone from Chloe's face. The judge announced he'd take everything under advisement and issue a ruling in a week. But as we packed up, something happened I didn't expect. Daniel walked over to me. He didn't say, "Sorry," or "I believe you." He just muttered, "If any of this is true about her, I need to know." Then he walked out. I didn't realize until later that those words weren't about me clearing my name. They were about him starting to see the cracks in his marriage. And Chloe, she knew it too. The way she glared at me as she left, it was the look of someone who realized her grip was slipping, and that made her dangerous. Because if she couldn't win in court, I had no doubt she'd find another battlefield. The longest week of my life passed in a haze of stress and half-sleep. Every time my phone buzzed, my heart stopped. I replayed the hearing in my head on a loop. Chloe's fake trembling voice, Victor's calm testimony, Daniel's unreadable expression. I wanted to believe the truth was enough, but I'd seen how easily lies could snowball into facts once they were in the system. The ruling came on a rainy Thursday morning. My lawyer called, his voice steady but carrying a note of relief. We won. The judge dismissed the case entirely. No criminal charges, no restraining order. It's over. I sat there for a moment, not moving, letting the words sink in. Then I exhaled so hard it almost hurt. But Mark wasn't finished. He also made a statement in the judgment. He said Chloe's credibility was severely compromised, and suggested her testimony in future cases should be scrutinized. That's rare. He's basically warning the system about her. For the first time in months, I felt like I could breathe. But that feeling didn't last long. That afternoon, Daniel showed up at my place. No Chloe. His eyes were bloodshot, and he looked like he hadn't slept in days. I confronted her, he said without any preamble. I asked her about Victor, the emails, all of it. She admitted she might have exaggerated, but then she turned it on me. Said I was taking your side because you're blood. He rubbed his face. I don't know who she is anymore. I think I married a stranger. I didn't say, I told you so. I didn't even feel vindicated, just tired. We sat in silence for a while before he finally muttered, I'm filing for separation. Part of me hoped that meant we could rebuild our relationship, but another part knew it wouldn't be that simple. 2 days later, I found out Chloe wasn't done with me. A mutual friend sent me screenshots from a private Facebook group. Chloe had posted this long, dramatic rant about being targeted by 2 abusive men, me and Victor, claiming the court ruling was corrupt and sexist. She even hinted she might go public with her story. I didn't respond. Neither did Daniel. But I did take screenshots of everything and send them to my lawyer, just in case. Weeks passed, and Chloe faded into the background. She moved out of Daniel's apartment. Rumors swirled about her staying with some friend out of town. Daniel and I started talking again, awkwardly at first, then more like brothers. We didn't pretend everything was fine, but there was a fragile truce between us, stitched together by the fact that we'd both been burned by the same person. Still, there are nights when I lie awake thinking about how close I came to losing everything, not because I did something wrong, but because someone decided it was useful to make me the villain. And I know one thing with absolute certainty, if Chloe ever comes back into our lives, she won't be coming for reconciliation. She'll be coming for revenge. I've learned the hard way that some people don't care if they destroy you, as long as they can keep telling the world you're the monster. And the worst part, there will always be someone willing to believe them. I don't know if I'll ever truly feel safe again. Follow me for more stories.